purchasing power parity. In order to understand what purchasing power parity or PPP is, let's first see what purchasing power is. Purchasing power simply means the amount of goods and services you can buy with a certain amount of money. For instance, if before you were able to buy 5 chocolates with €5 but now with the same €5 you can only buy 4 chocolates, your purchasing power has declined. The second thing you need to know to understand PPP is the law of one price. It pretty much says that one good in one country should have the same price as an identical good in another country when converting into different currencies. Therefore, the purchasing power of two currencies should be the same for the identical products. Purchasing power parity is based on the law of one price and refers to situation where your income has the same purchasing power in all countries. Hence, given that PPP holds and all prices are equal, a person should be able to purchase with her income the same basket of goods everywhere, no matter what currency he uses. There are two versions of purchasing power parity, one is absolute PPP and the other one is relative PPP. Absolute PPP says that the same product in different countries should be equal. So let's say that one pizza in US costs $3.80 and the same pizza in Italy costs €3.45. Then, according to the law of one price or also known as the absolute PPP, the purchasing power of two currencies should be the same. Hence, the exchange rate should be a matter of finding the ratio of the two prices. Thus, if we divide the price of the pizza in US with the price of the pizza in Italy, we get the exchange rate for US dollars and euros. This means that each euro is equal to $1.10. Let's apply the purchasing power parity to Kosovo and Albania. If 10 candies in Kosovo cost €2 and the same 10 candies in Albania cost 260 lek, then the exchange rate would be €1 equals to 130 lek. Hence, no matter what currency we use, the purchasing power is the same in both countries. But what happens when prices of candies are not the same in Kosovo and in Albania? If the candies are cheaper in Kosovo, some people from Albania would come to Kosovo, convert the lek into euros in order to buy the candies with cheaper price. This new demand for euros would raise the value of the euro until average prices of goods are the same in each country when converted at the new exchange rate. But, can we buy the same amount of goods with our income everywhere around the world? Does the absolute PPP hold? Well, actually it does not. Here are some of the reasons why absolute PPP does not hold: non-tradable goods, transportation costs, and trade restrictions, imperfect information, etc. As we said earlier, when goods are traded, prices will become equal. However, there are non-tradable goods which cannot be imported or exported. So there are less of reasons for the prices to equalize. For instance, you cannot trade the price of public services such as water supply and local transportation, or the prices of hotel accommodation. The absolute purchasing power parity makes the assumption that taxes as most transportation costs do not exist, which is not true. So, because of the different transportation costs, prices will be different. Also, countries have different tariffs and taxes that prevent prices from equalizing across countries. The absolute purchasing power parity also assumes perfect information about what are goods prices in other markets. With perfect information, one would be able to export goods to the market with the high price, whereas import goods form the market with a low price. However, not everyone is informed and, hence, prices are different. Since absolute purchasing power parity does not look at reality, we now move on to the relative purchasing power parity. Relative PPP takes inflation into account. It does so by considering the relationship between the changes of the exchange rate and the changes of the prices ratio. Note that the price levels will increase if there is inflation. Therefore, the exchange rate is determined by the difference in the national price levels between the two countries. Let's take an example. Let's say that the current exchange rate is $1.10 per euro. Now, suppose that the inflation rate in US is predicted to be 5% in the upcoming year, while in Kosovo we predict 0% inflation rate. What would be the exchange rate in the upcoming year? If we expect US prices to increase by 5%, We calculate the following: 1.10 US dollars times 1.05 equals to 1.155 US dollars per 1 euro, which is the new exchange rate. Now, you need more US dollars to get 1 euro. Therefore, the US dollar is depreciating while the euro is appreciating. As a result, there is a reverse relationship between the national price levels and currency values. Where there is inflation, the value of the currency depreciates and vice versa. What if we expect Kosovo's inflation to be 3% in the upcoming year? Relative to the prices in Kosovo, prices in US are rising at a rate of 2%. So, the new exchange rate would be 1.10 US dollars times 1.02 equals to 1.122 US dollars per 1 euro. Therefore, the relative purchasing power parity examines the relative changes in price levels between two countries and maintain that exchange rates will change according to inflation. So, it is a better measure than the absolute purchasing power parity. Finally, why do we need a measure such as PPP? We need PPP to compare purchasing power of different countries' currencies. PPP currency rates are considered more accurate than market exchange rates. Market exchange rates tend to be influenced by other factors such as government interventions, different interest rates, speculation trading, and hedging. On the other hand, PPP rates are often difficult to determine because of differences in purchasing habits among the citizens of different countries, unequal quality of goods in those countries, and differences in each country's economies. But once the PPP rate is determined, it remains relatively constant over the long run. PPP is often used to make a more accurate comparison between two countries' GDPs than can be made when using market exchange rates. For example, let's look at country A and country B, where each of them produces the same amount of goods in a given year. Thus, the GDP should be the same for each country, but because country B manipulates its currency on the world market, its currency is artificially high when compared to country A's currency. It takes 3 country A's dollars to buy 1 country B's euro. So using the market exchange rates to compare GDP, it would look as country B's GDP were 3 times the size of the country A's GDP. When expressed in the same currency using the PPP exchange rate, it would eliminate this bias and would show that the GDP of each country is the same.